couple of quick announcements before I turn this over to our Master of Ceremonies for our introductions. For those of you that are in, I sent out the message last week, the full API integration with our merchant services vendor will be done in the next couple of days. So we'll have our first paychecks for the company going out the 1st of this month. Update on that, so you know. So there's a few of you that have recruited and will be actually getting paid. We appreciate that. And then we are solidifying times, and this is for company members, for mastermind sessions. Paul, we're working on Thursdays. It's
tomorrow
6:30.
Right?
So for company members, Paul will be training weekly at 6:30 p.m. We're going to be doing, for brokers and agents, a mastermind session Mondays, probably around noontime. Larry Cox on Wednesdays will be doing a mortgage mastermind session.
11 to 12, right?
And yes, correct. And Brandon will be doing a social media mastermind. So within a couple of weeks, we will have 4 online, for our company members, 4 online masterminds per week. And with no further ado, I'll bring Mr. LaPera up to make introductions. And I've got a quick offer to put in, and I'll be right back out. So.
Hey, look at this guy making deals. That's what it takes, folks.
Steve's a machine. He is a machine.
Yeah, he really is.
I would say that Steve's the brains and I'm the mouth. So
you're the good looks.
That's true, Paul. That is true. Hey, I'm Mark LaPera with Green Global Real Estate Education Network. Hi out there that's watching from distance. This is what we're all about, is distance learning and getting deals from distance. A little later on, we're going to have some Fort Myers deals popping up on the screen when I pull it down. I played poker right down the street here on Thursday nights. Texas Hold'em. It's very low stakes. The first day I went in there, in 3 hands, I was knocked out. Now, I'm a sort of a wild and crazy player and didn't really care because it was low stakes poker. But after that, Irina will tell you that ever since then, I started playing online to practice free, because I wanted to stay in the game. I wanted to get educated on the one fun thing besides this that I do, because I wanted to stay in the game. Well, Dan knows, and the guys in Florida know, I played real estate a little wild and crazy too. You can't play that loose gambling too often in real estate. It's like walking in Vegas when you don't know, you're not a gambler, and you're sitting down at the $250,000 table right off the bat. Because that's what we're doing with real estate. Our deals are $250,000, and we have no education. We're just playing it fast and loose. And Paul, you can't play fast and loose in this game. You get bid pretty hard. You buy an auction like Les. You buy an auction and it has a cracked foundation and you didn't see it. You just lost yourself about $70,000. That's what Green's all about. It's just helping people be more informed. There's a lot of people joining real estate all over the country, all over the world these days, but they're not getting educated. And of course, they're not hooking up with people outside their one little community. We're trying to bring the community to be a global community so we can reach people, educate people, and give people a better opportunity to turn a profit. That's what Green is. All right. Well, one thing, we got a couple of little fun announcements. We are expecting company. That's right. I turned the bell off, which is good. But we are Facebook Live right now. So everybody stand up, look back there, that little camera, and waving the camera saying, "Hey, from Nashville, this is Green." Hey!
There's people all over the country.
I'm telling you, 2-3 weeks ago, Brandon stood up and told us how to do Facebook Live, which he's going to do right now for us real quick. Funnest thing, we started doing Facebook Live. One thing he didn't tell us to do is, don't go like this with your camera because that's what you look like on Facebook Live. So we should tell them it's like teaching people how to ride a bike without telling them how to steer yet. So let's do a Facebook Live real quick. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I was teaching tonight on Periscope, but I've already got it set up. So
teach us. Give us a 2-minute on Periscope.
Periscope, you come up.
Yeah.
I got a presentation.
Oh, short presentation.
Short presentation.
All right.
Let's see, guys. Do we have a? Where's our? There we go. Need to have that on.
It's there.
It's there.
Hold on.
Okay. It's coming on. Guys, my name is Brandon Patrick.
Hi. Oh, turn my lights off.
I own a company in Franklin, Tennessee called Intervision Media Group. And, you know, one of the things that we're looking at right now, as investors, we're trying to figure out how we can push our properties out, not only locally, but globally. A few weeks ago, we went over Facebook Live, how to get that going. We had a lot of stuff that came in. Today, I'm going to show you a new one, and this is called Periscope. How many people know of Periscope? How many people are using Periscope for their business? Always using Periscope. This is a powerful tool. Katina, you're using it too? And stuff. Well, you know, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on it. This is Twitter's answer to Facebook Live. So pretty much what we're going to do here today, I'm going to show you how to use it to sell real estate, how to get your investors on. The first thing I'm going to do, I've already put in, if you guys want to go to Google Play Store, you could go to Google Play Store and put in Periscope. If you'll do that, you'll see an app that's called Periscope, and just pop it on your phone. It pretty much works off of Twitter. And next slide, please. There we go. That's the answer to Facebook Live, as we said. What I'm going to show you now is how to use this to make money. First slide, let's see, let's go to the next one. And the next one. So what I'm doing right here, think about this. How many times have you ever been, maybe you've got a customer that's, or a potential buyer on one of your flips, and you're wanting to show it. What I'm going to do right here, I'm going to go ahead and start the broadcast. This is very clean. Guys, we're in Nashville, Tennessee at our real estate investors meeting with Global Real Estate Education Network. We've got some great people here today. We've got people coming on right now. The great thing about Periscope is it's not just your friends. This goes all over the world. So if you're sitting there, we've got 1, we've got 7. We've got people all over the world right now watching this. And so the neat thing is if you're sitting there and you want to figure out a way to be able to sell your home, your flip or whatever, start using this app. Let's say you've got a client in California and they want to see a house that maybe you're remodeling or maybe one that would meet them. Go in there and do a private Periscope. And it works. You can actually stream it private. It doesn't go to anybody else. But you do a live stream of the home. You can walk the home. It's very clear. Second way you can make money with it. Next slide. Share local knowledge. Just go into Franklin or maybe your community in Woodbine, Greg. Go into Woodbine or whatever community you work, and just go walk the streets with Periscope. I mean, it's seriously clear. Maybe some community knowledge. Next slide. Got 2 more ways that you can make money with this. Host real estate Q&A sessions. How many times do you go on and, all you do is you just go on, you wait for people to come in and just say, I'm here to answer questions, on real estate, on maybe buyers' questions, investors' questions, things like that. That's the third way you can make money. And last but not least, the way that you can make money with this app is, next slide. Do many webinars. So, not too many webinars. You can sit there and say, I'm going to talk today about real estate investing in Nashville, Tennessee. This is what we're seeing. It's a tight market or whatever you're seeing. Talk about some of the houses that you've seen. It's a very good tool, guys. And again, I want to bring this to you as a very small, short thing because we got Paulie coming in, and this guy is amazing. So without further ado, I'm going to let you get back to I'm going to introduce this guy. Great. Guys, we're really lucky to have Paul Kazanofski today. He is a master. I've been sitting there watching him and over the past few weeks, and I've just been amazed at what I've seen and what I see him doing. I know several of you guys have done, taking him out, shown deals, things like that. But this guy is a wealth of knowledge. He's also a bee farmer. So, and without further ado, everybody give a welcome to Paul Kazanofski.
It's so good to be here. And listen, how many people ever heard of when you show up, that's half the battle? Well, you guys showed up, and let me tell you guys this. If anybody ever told me, growing up the way I did, that I would be teaching anything on any subject, I would tell you, doesn't happen to guys like me. Let me tell you, I grew up very humble beginnings. I grew up in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And so English is my third language. So if I butcher, the grammar, it's not my fault. See how I get out of that when it comes to English? But let me tell you guys something. Growing up the way I did and in my neighborhood, I was a leader back then because I didn't do drugs and drink and, I was an athlete growing up, but I was leading a bunch of fools because they were doing that. I was trying to lead. But I also realized that being in a room with like-minded people, that's how you get to the top. I always was the smartest guy in the room when I grew up where I grew up. So you guys being here, some of you guys do deals. How many people do like flips in this room right here? And I'm a house rehabber too. I got a lot of other businesses, but that's my main core business. What I always suggest to everybody is get in the room with people that are smarter than you. Growing up the way I did, obviously, I was more of the smarter guy in my group, but I was leading a bunch of fools. So understand that. That's the number one thing when it comes to business. Now, I believe that I can teach anybody how to flip one house. I could take anybody. I could take this young man right here. We got the youth. I got free labor coming up right here. But I believe that I really can teach anybody how to flip one house. Okay? But can you teach somebody how to have a house flipping business? And most of the people that I run into in this business, they're winging it. They're winging it. They don't know their numbers. They really don't know how to buy correctly. They don't know the construction side of it, how to grow people within your business, how to hire the right people. When's the right time to hire an assistant? When's the right time to know your numbers? I was no different than them when I first started. I was winging it. I was always the type of guy that had the vision. I was a visionary. Okay? I had that stick-to-itiveness and being an athlete and all that. I was a pro fighter for many years. I was a kickboxer and all that and a pro boxer. But I learned the discipline of getting up early and doing all the right things, eating well and training and getting good coaching and mentorship and have all that fitness and that passion to be good. But I didn't wing that. But when I got into business, I was winging the business part of it because I didn't have mentorship and I didn't have coaching. Okay, so how many people in this room have coaching? And anybody? So we only have a few people in the coaching. Now, I'm not here to sell anything. I mean, obviously, I teach for green, and I love the product because a lot of people say, well, you have to have a coach that charges $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. I know people that spent $50,000 and $60,000 for coaching, but they didn't necessarily get the right coaching. You understand? When you do business, okay, and you do business, inside of business, you learn as you make mistakes. And a lot of people here, I know I coach a couple of people one-on-one coaching with them. And I could tell you this, is when you're doing business and you have a mentor or a coach, they're going to guide you in the right direction. But nothing will teach you about any business except for knowledge and doing, right? So basically what I'm saying is, I love Green, and Green's a great tool, and it's very inexpensive, and there's some great coaches, and they teach you on different avenues when it comes to real estate. But I will tell you this, most people are over-analytical when they do any type of business. For us, we all are real estate investors. I always say to be a real estate investor, it's a very long journey, okay? Because like Mark was saying earlier, you can lose your money really quick if you don't understand your numbers, you don't have the right people in your organization, and not to scare anybody, but if you don't have the work ethic and you're winging it, that's when you could get really hurt. My story goes back to, I read a book called Short Sale Magic by Tom Butler. Probably you guys don't even know the author, probably never heard of the book. But what I did is, I did what most people don't do. I actually read the book and I went to the author and I stalked this guy. I literally stalked him. And he has liaisons, the middle people in the middle. So I got to the middle guy and I started talking to him and I was telling him, look, I read the book, but I just didn't get everything. I need to ask the author. How many people would take that kind of risk and try to build a relationship with someone that was an author and prolific in what he was doing? Most people are scared to take that step. You know, well, being a fighter going into the ring, I was scared every time. People always used to ask me, was it scary going up? I'm like, yes, it was scary every time. I was scared. I was scared that I might get knocked out, lose, look bad. Even though I was prepared, I was still scared to take that risk. But something told me in business that when I was winging it, I have to have that mentorship and that coaching. That's what Green does. That's what coaching does. So I stalked the guy, and I finally got to him after about 3.5 weeks. He finally called me back, the author. And he thought I was a little bit nuts, but when he started talking to me, he realized that I really did want to learn how to do this correctly. Okay? So I wanted to add value to him, because how many people run into a mentor or someone that's doing it and they don't add value to that person, and that person really doesn't want to have really much to do with you because they're really busy. Okay? So I told him, I said, look, I'm going to pay you. And he goes, well, I have a boot camp, and he starts telling me about the boot camp. I said, no, I have to be one-on-one with you, because the way I learn, because I'm dyslexic, I learn different than most people. If you put a book in front of me and word problems and all that, I'm not gonna grasp it. Okay? So a lot of people learn that way. So I said, look, I'll pay you and this and that. And he was laughing. He said, man, I love your energy. I love the fact that you stalked me. And he goes, you're the only person that's ever read my book and found me and said, I want to learn from you, even though the people will come to my boot camp and everything. So he said, but there is one condition that I'll give you. He goes, I feel by talking to you, I feel you're going to be good. You're going to be good at this business. He goes, I could just feel your passion and energy, and the fact that you reached out to me is something tells me that you're a risk taker, because most people wouldn't do that. They're afraid, like I said earlier. So I bought my own plane ticket. I flew down to Utah, and he picked me up in his car at the airport, and he said, man, I can't believe you're sitting in my car. And I said, no, vice versa. I can't believe I'm sitting in your car. And what I did was I had a pad and I had a pen, and I started asking questions. And I started building a relationship with this guy. I really did. And I wasn't afraid, because here's this guy who's done, at that time he probably done 500 deals. And short sales, and he knew so much more than I did. But I knew that in order for me to understand how to do this business and do it right, I needed to approach this guy and get all the nuts and bolts. Okay? That's what Green does. That's what people like me. I lead with my heart. I lead with my heart, and that guy led with his heart. So I learned that. I was around. He obviously brought me to houses, and he was showing me, things on how to buy, what houses to buy, what houses not to buy, why he bought that. He explained me things. I was asking him questions, taking notes, and he's like, man, you're really intuitive guy. He goes, I feel your passion. I feel that you really want to do something in this business. And so, you know, we built that relationship, and at the end of the day, he said, hey, why don't you stay an extra day? He goes, because I really like you, and I feel your passion to do this business. And I said, hell yeah. Well, I had other things to do. Well, a lot of other people in this room had other things to do, but you guys came here to listen to a guy who's an Italian guy who moves his hands a lot and speaks very energetic. But you know what? That's what it takes. That's what it takes. So I changed all my other things. I don't even remember. It didn't matter. But people think that they have so much to do and so many like things they have to do, and they don't want to put anything off. When somebody presents you with an opportunity like this, like we are in here, this is an opportunity, because I don't look at you guys as my competition. People always ask me, why do you teach people and give and share all your information and all the ups and downs that you went? Because I say they're my allies. This business is different than most businesses. You know, if you were manufacturing a specific item, you might be more secretive. Everybody in this room, everybody in this organization, everybody that is at home watching us all over the country right now, they're all our allies. We can do deals all over the place, anywhere. You mentioned Fort Myers, right? You got Fort Myers. I got 3 deals going in Florida right now. 7 deals going in Chicago area, and you guys know this because you know me, and so on. And I got some stuff in Memphis. You know, why did that happen? Is because I took the risk, like the story I told you with the Tom Butler. So I rearranged my whole schedule, and I'm like, I see an opportunity to learn from this guy, and I stayed that extra day. And at the end of the day, at the end of the second day, and I learned so much, and he was telling me things that he couldn't publicly say in the book, because, you know, there's some angles and things that most speakers cannot say, because somebody will be, you know, recording them and say, well, that's a little gray area or whatever. We're entrepreneurs. We're gray already. My teacher said I would never make it. I grew up in the neighborhood that I said. They said, Paulie, man, he talks too much. They used to tell my mom, I love your son. He's such a good son, but he never shuts up. You know, so people being an entrepreneur, you're different. We're the different guys. We're the guys who call an author that wrote a book and say, hey, I'm gonna meet with this guy. So at the end of the second day, getting back to what I was originally telling you guys, is he said, you owe me something. And I said, no, I'll write you a check. And he goes, no. You don't owe me money, but you owe me the opportunity that when you do your first short sale deal, that you fly back and I'll pay for it. And I said, no, man, you've been too good to me. I'll pay for it. I want to add the value back. I said, I'll do anything you want me to do because you took me under your wing for 2 days, not the one that I asked you, 2 days. And he said, I want you to come back and talk at my boot camp and tell everybody about your first deal. Because I've done 297 flips, bought, fixed up, and sold. I've done probably, I didn't take note. My back office lady's here right now. How many wholesales have I done? Probably a couple hundred or something. But real flips, bought, fixed up, and sold on the open market, 297 as of last Friday. We closed on the deal. Well, this was my first deal that I did. And I went back. I kept my word. I went back and I told the people what it took to do that first deal. There's a lot of you guys in here that's never done a deal. You want to do a deal, but you don't know where to get started because you're always learning from like the guru, or you're learning from the guy trying to sell you books and tapes and you know, coaching and all that. Green is different. The thing with Green is it's built with people with heart and soul. You know, I've been offered to be a coach for some of the you know, I'm not going to mention the names, but you guys probably know a lot of the people. And, you know, I turned it down, not because their system doesn't work. It's how much they charge for this. You don't have to spend $40, $50, $60,000. You just have to take a risk and get somebody with the heart of a teacher and not a heart of a sales guy. That's the difference about even a guy like me standing here, because, you know, I could be at home with my wife and she's beautiful. I like to cuddle on the couch and watch a little TV at night. But you know what? She understands that my passion is I go back to when nobody believed in me. And that author took me under his wing, and I went back and talked to those people, and it empowered me, and I saw what I can do for people. And I told my wife when I got home from that trip, I told her, I said, you know what, when I make it in this business, I'm going to give my heart and soul. And I kept my word. It was never about the money. Now, anybody, and I was telling this young little lad right here, anybody who tells you money is not important, spoken like a broke guy. Okay? Don't believe them. You know, especially when you grow up the way I did, and a lot of entrepreneurs start with nothing and they have to claw and scrape and bleed to get to where they are. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I did work for the money, you know, so I'm not up here telling you, you know, it's not about the money. But when you put the money first and you don't take care of the client and you don't take care of your flip and you try to hide things and you don't get mentorship from a person with a heart and not a heart of a sales guy, you know, then it gets too great. Your brand is so important. And I learned that from this guy because his brand was so important. Then I started reaching out to a lot of other mentors, and a lot of them didn't want to help me. But then there was a few people that did. And those people, I still do business with them today because I am loyal. And that's one thing when it comes to being an entrepreneur and starting out, because a lot of us haven't done 297 deals. It's called loyalty. People that lent me money when I first met a money partner, and, you know, at that time I was paying a lot of interest because I was new, right? And a lot of the people that lent me money in the first time, I didn't negotiate them down still to this day out of loyalty. How many realtors in here? I know a couple of realtors. Let me tell you guys something. I don't even talk down my realtors. Okay? Because you guys work hard for me. You represent me. I'm a strong negotiator, and being an entrepreneur, for you to be successful, you have to be able to negotiate. And a lot of people in America, and especially Canada, they're apprehensive to be a negotiator. But people from foreign countries, they're used to negotiating. It's not a taboo subject to negotiate. It's a good thing to negotiate. But there's some people in your life that bring you to the dance, so to speak. Those people you don't forget. Because when nobody believed in you, those were the people that had your back, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important with that. Right now, I have a realtor that's an in-house realtor, and he does all my deals. Obviously, he does them for a discount for me because I'm not a one-trick pony. I do a lot of deals, and he makes a lot of money from me, but I still love the guy, and I help him, and I list the property at the right price. And you guys know, as being a realtor, if your house is worth $300 and you think it's worth $350, I don't care how good of a sales guy you are, how energetic you are, how smart you are, you're not going to get $350 for the house. So you have to understand your numbers. Okay? So getting to the numbers and winging it. When I first started, I was winging it. And then I seeked out coaching. Because it seemed like I was doing a lot of deals, but I wasn't keeping my money, so to speak. I didn't know where my money was. Okay? That's another thing Green will teach you. People like me, people like Steve, people like Mark, and everybody else that coaches in their avenue of real estate. Let me tell you something. When you don't understand your numbers, that's where people fail in this business. The numbers... And trust me, I told you earlier, I'm a visionary guy. I was dyslexic. I'm not a prolific speller. I butcher the English language, as you could see sometimes. Reading is not my forte. Going to school, I went to school and I bled to get through school because I was a C student, right? But I'll tell you one thing. People talk about staying in your strengths and being a visionary. Obviously is one of my strengths. Building relationships, taking the risk, approaching people, building relationships with money people and all that. That's very important. But let me tell you something about playing to your strengths and forgetting about your weaknesses. Because when I started getting going, I went from doing one house. Then 6 months later, we had 16 projects. Then I had 30 projects the year after at one time. And let me tell you what was happening to me. I was winging it. I was the best winger that you will ever see in this business. And then I realized, I said, you know what? I can't do this by myself. I cannot be stubborn. I need the help. I need somebody to see my weaknesses and teach me my weaknesses so that those weaknesses become strengths. We always resist our weaknesses and stay with our strengths. You'll hear coaches and people tell you, go with your strengths. You're good at making relationships. Stay with that. I'm good at making relationships. I'm not afraid to knock on doors. I'm not afraid to talk to people. But let me tell you, I was afraid of the computer. I was afraid of the numbers. I was afraid of, a lot of things that had to do with, spelling and writing and numbers and charts and QuickBooks and all that. And people say, well, hire somebody else to do it. And yes, there is validity to that. But if you don't understand what they're doing, you're going to lose your money. You don't even know if they're taking your money. And let me tell you, I had to reposition the way I thought about business. Because it wasn't just hanging on to your strengths and the things that was a strength part of my life. So always remember, man, your weaknesses, you must build those weaknesses. And if you're not good at something, get somebody who is good at it and learn from them. And trust me, write that stuff down because it's, don't forget about this stuff. I'm going to tell you right now. I know my numbers today. And because I know my numbers, I make a lot better choices. I always knew my numbers when it came to buying a house, obviously, because I did pretty well on my flips and made money. But I'm talking about as a business. Because I could take anybody in this room and teach them how to flip one house, but can you do it for a business? And when your money is wrapped up and you don't have money coming in, let me tell you, you go broke fast in this business. Hence why green exists. People like green. Why is green different? I'll tell you why. Because they don't gouge people. They don't charge them $20, $30, $40, $50,000. For God's sakes, most people in being an entrepreneur, a lot of them won't do the things that it takes every day when you wake up to get busy. But what happens if you stroke a check for $50,000 to $30,000, whatever, money for coaching and these plans and boot camps and all that, and you don't even do it? The difference between green is you can get momentum just like I did. And having those mentors and teachers and learning. Okay? Now, when it came to school, and I mentioned this earlier, and Manny knows this, me and Manny, I love this guy, but we do a lot of this. I could tell you, we weren't school people. Kids go to school. Okay. But don't listen to this old guy here. But you guys are smart. I wasn't too smart. But, doing business the way we do it and getting the mentorship and so on, I had to get the guy with the heart, not the guy who wanted the money. It's so important, man, when you have to believe me when I tell you that. It's so important to get the people with the heart, and that's what we do here. And we really network. This is about networking. There's a lot of groups, they don't even want you to network, and he's my competition. I will do a deal with anybody in this room just because you showed up. I will do a deal, and I will show you what a deal is. Because, most people, they try to take a deal that's not a deal and make it a deal. I'll tell you if it's a deal or not. Promise you there, Steve, you know what I'm talking about. But getting back, me and Manny, we teach people. We take them under our wing. And people always wonder why we do it. Why do we give so much? Let me tell you something.
You're crazy.
Because we're crazy. But we're crazy in a good way. Because the more I teach people, the more it always comes back to me. It always does. This business is exactly that. It's so different than other businesses, like I said earlier. You have to tap into this group. And you have to help each other. Some people might have money in this room, but they don't have deals. Some people have deals, not enough money. Some people have building experience. Some people don't. This is what you have to do to make it. Is network with each other and do the right thing in business. Now, getting back to what deals I buy and what deals I don't buy. Well, there's 9 deals that I won't buy. And a lot of gurus won't tell you this because they don't want to sound like, well, I have a friend that bought a house, the ones I'm about to share with you, and they sold it and made money. Well, you know, that's a friend that knew a friend that had an uncle that sold a deal and made money on that. But one of the most 9 houses that I don't buy is, number 1, I don't buy in a war zone. Well, what is it? What is a war zone? Right? There's a blue-collar area, like here in Nashville. We have the Antioch area in some parts, and Madison now, and, you know, some parts of the north part. It's not a war zone is when you literally cannot walk down the street. That's what a war zone is. But can you make money in a blue-collar area? Absolutely. People were telling me don't buy in Antioch 8 years ago, and I made millions of dollars in Antioch. I'll be honest with you. You know, I got a lot of my deals from Steve. You remember a couple of deals we did in Antioch, and they were good. So number one, I don't buy in a war zone. Number 2, I don't buy on a busy street. And a lot of people, you guys probably heard this, but guess what? The deals are getting harder and harder to get. So we try to take a deal that's not a deal, and we still try to make it fit. We try to make it fit into this box. But let me tell you, the best deals that I've done in my whole career is the ones I said no to. Those were the best ones that I did. Is the ones that I said, no, I don't want the deal. It's not a deal. The numbers don't fit. There's that busy street and all the noise. And you know what? Can I sell it? Does anybody here obviously know someone who bought a house on a busy street or sold a house? Of course, they have a brother that had a friend that had Johnny. He sold it. But guess what? We're paying hard money. We're paying high interest. Okay? Our job is to get in, do an unbelievable house, fix everything, do not shabby, do not hide, do not put a lipstick on a pig. Your brand means everything. You want to get in there and do it right. If there's termite damage or whatever it is, you fix it. You don't hide it. But if you buy it wrong, that's when the problems start. That's when you start thinking like, oh man, maybe I could cut a corner, keep these cabinets, paint them, and all that. Let me tell you something. When you sell your house, it's a reflection of you, your brand, who you are, and people are always looking for a reason why not to do business with you. Trust me. People are judging me in this room right now. 75% of you guys will love me after this. 25% will think, this guy's full of shit. Right? But let me tell you something.
SpongeBob numbers. Yeah.
SpongeBob numbers. I'll take the 75 over the 2. But it does matter. Your brand does matter. So, number 3, train tracks. East Nashville, booming population here. It changed. Years ago, we were getting houses, Larry. I know you were getting houses like me. We were getting deals, 50,000, 40,000. Now a lot over there is, 150, 200, 250, depending where it is. Let me tell you something. Still didn't buy where a train track is. Even to this day, where it's a hot market, and you buy and you have train tracks behind you, in front of you, on the side of you, you'd be surprised how many people try to buy these deals. And they're like, but I got a great deal on this. Remember what I said. The best deals I ever did in this business was the ones I said no to. And I'll share a little story about, I like to share my stories. Yeah. And Manny likes my story. I was in a house on Enga in East Nashville. Some of you guys know where it is. There's a train track in the back, but you can't see it. So here I got this house under contract. Now I'm going over there before I close on it. I'm going over there to do my budget, and the budget is basically doing the construction budget, and I'm doing it like line for line. I don't miss anything because it's really important to understand your numbers, right? I got some coaching for that. And listen, I only got about an hour and a half. I always stretch it an hour and a half, but I could only teach and throw down what I'm throwing down as fast as I could do it tonight, so that maybe one of you guys get a golden nugget. You get a little bit of courage to take that risk, to go out there to talk to people like us in here with Green, and network. Okay, so I'm in Enga. I'm in the house. It's a 3-bedroom. It's actually a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, but I was going to put in another bath, and I'm doing these numbers, and all of a sudden I feel the house shaking. I feel the house shaking. I swear to God, I feel the house shaking. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, what in the world? What in the world is going? And then I didn't see it out the back. I didn't see it out the backyard. I was like, man, this is kind of a private little backyard. It's nice. There's bushes, big bushes. I'm like, man, this is nice. This is a nice backyard. And all of a sudden, here comes the train. And I'm telling you, train that kept a rolling. And the house is moving. And I get on my phone. And this was when me and Phil were doing business. I picked up the phone. I'm like, Phil, abandoned ship. And he goes, what do you mean? It's East Nashville. It'll sell. And I'm like, no. We're wholesaling this thing. I'm not buying this thing. Put it on the wholesale market. I'm not putting my money. Well, we already put an earnest money check down. We're going to lose our earnest money. It's like, kiss the $1,000 goodbye, because I know I'm not going to be able to sell that house. Again, I knew the guy he wholesaled it to. 8.5 months. He ended up losing money on that deal. So again, why did I say no to the deal? Why? Because I already knew. I knew because I had that mentorship. Remember, I wasn't an educated guy, but I got self-educated. I never read a book in high school. I hated reading books. But man, when you're passionate about something and you love what you do and you're different than everybody, you will have this insatiable appetite to be better at it. So I started reading and learning and talking to people and going to authors and seeking out the best coaches and so on and so forth. So thank God I had that, because I could say no to that deal. And guess what? At that time, that house, it was under contract for $51,000. True story. Okay? Train tracks, no. Even if you could hear it, don't. People nowadays, because there's a lot less deals out there, they're trying to fit it in there. They're trying to fit it. Let me tell you something. Get up earlier, work harder, put in more offers. 65 to 70% of my day looks like this. Building relationships. Money people, wholesalers, realtors. That's what I do. Okay? I know what my day is going to look like the day before. I have ledgers. I hated writing. Now you should see I got notebooks. Linsky, I got notebooks. She thinks I'm nuts. I got vision boards. I'm reading all the time. And now I'm actually I'm getting better at reading, and I'm dyslexic. I mean, go figure. I wish my teachers could see me now, right? So just understand, that's where you get your knowledge. You get your knowledge from that. So train tracks, no way. Flood zones. In May of 2010, you remember the flood that happened, there was a lot of people that lost a lot of money. And I remember saying no to houses with flood zones, and guess what? I had probably 20-something deals going at that time. Imagine I had houses in the flood zones, and they flooded. And, listen, FEMA's not going to help an investor. Trust me. Most people really don't, they don't like the guy who makes a lot of money or has a passion or is building a business. Remember, people look at us because we're different, because we're the different people. They look at us like, man, those guys are a little bit weird. Like, I'd rather be comfortable and get a regular job and, just be in my safe lane. Let me tell you about safe lane. I know a lot of people that had a safe lane and got let go because the company was downsizing and so on. This business, you make your own money. You make your check. You determine what you want to do. Well, I used to get up at 7. Now I get up at 5. See what I'm saying? Because I'm passionate about what I do. And I'm passionate about what I say. And you guys being here tonight, you win because you showed up. You're not at home watching Dancing with the Stars or something. My wife.
Good show, good show.
It's a good show.
True.
So, no flood zones. You want to stay away from the flood zones. Also, too, nowadays, people are buying houses that are 2+1s, and they know a friend, Johnny, that knew Harold, and Harold sold a house, and he made $30,000 on that flip, or $20,000, or $15,000. Let me tell you something. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. You're paying hard money, you're paying juice, and you have to get in and out of these properties. Because where you make it or break it in this business is velocity of money, getting in and getting out. So if you buy a house that's a 2+1 in an area that if you didn't put an addition on it, and it wouldn't support that, then you're going to have a harder time to sell that property. Trust me. Ask me how I know this stuff. You know what I mean? Either I learned or I've seen other people learn. Remember, what do they say? A smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. So you're learning here, and I'm throwing down a little bit of nuggets here for some of the newer guys and even some of the older guys. I see I see some really good house rehabbers and people that have been investors, and because now there's less deals, they start like forgetting what they learned years ago, or like lessons. When you lose money and then 3 years pass, you're like, yeah, I learned that lesson, but it's kind of vague in my mind. Hang on to those pains. Trust me. I've been up at 3 o'clock stressing out because I couldn't sell a house before, and I had to pay the hard money and the high interest. So 2+1s, I would stay away from them. Even though Harold, that John had a friend that sold them, I don't buy them. Again, get up earlier, put in more offers, build relationships, work harder. And trust me, the market always changes anyway. Also, too, a house that's under 1,100 square feet, I won't buy it. Trust me, realtors in the room, you understand why. I don't even have to explain it to you guys, because your buyers tell you hear what they say. Trust me, I was a realtor many, many years ago, and I used to take notes. I had notes. Why they didn't buy it? It has popcorn ceiling. I don't want it. It could have been the nicest house, but the guy didn't go the extra mile to scrape the popcorn ceiling. Guess what? They didn't want to buy the house. They did beautiful granite and new cabinets and all this stuff, but guess what? They said, I'll just paint the popcorn ceiling. Now the wife of the house, 82%, they're the ones who make the decision on buying. You guys know this. They don't like the popcorn. So guess what? You got to get rid of the popcorn. But if a house is under 1,100 square feet, they will sit on the market. Ask me how I know this one.
You read it in a book somewhere, probably.
Yeah, well, I read a lot of things in a book, but the most things I've ever learned was by doing, by bleeding, by just sheer grit. And and trust me, I've cried, man. I'm a strong guy. I was a fighter. I fought guys, and everybody was bigger. Every guy I've ever fought, because I got big legs, and I always weighed more than or at least it seemed like I weighed more. But let me tell you something. That was a piece of cake. When you're losing money and you're doing a deal and you're not selling it and you're sifting out money, that is the worst stress that anybody could ever do. That's why I always say, work harder, get the right deal. That's why I share these little nuggets with you guys. And even the guys that's done a lot of deals, like I said, man, trust me. It's not, you forget too. Sometimes I forget. I'm like, maybe I'll make it. But then I catch myself. I'm like, remember that happened? So 1,100, now this one here is something that a lot of people never really talk about. Some of the stuff on a busy street's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of you guys, he probably knew that. You could come work for me one day, son. But let me tell you something. If one of the rooms, master usually, is less than 12 by 12, I won't buy the house. I promise you, unless I could rip out a wall or something. But a lot of times you can't, whatever, it's isolated. I will not buy the house, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because the wife of the house, they make you, we're guys. A lot of the people in this business, they're guys. But let me tell you who has a better advantage. And one of my best students, is one of the most successful real estate investors here in Nashville. She was my student for many years, and she ended up working for me and went on to do big things. And I used to tell her, you have an advantage over the guys, the women in here, because you guys understand how when you're buying and you're walking through a house, you understand how the furniture is going to look. You buy on emotion and feel. Guys like us, we're like cavemen, like we just walk around not thinking. So you have to start really talking, taking notes, asking women how they look. Less than 12 by 12, guess what? You can't put in a bedroom furniture in there. So guess what the wife says? It's too small. I'm not buying that house. Yeah, but honey, look, they did all this beautiful stuff, and they got the marble, the swirl, white on white, super white. Well, guess what? They're not buying that house. I promise you, they're not buying that house. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now again, I know somebody knows somebody that sold it. Trust me, I know. Listen, I've sold them. Also, too, this is something that a lot of people. There's some landlords in this area of this group here. I'm a landlord. Me and Manny have many rental properties, but I don't buy condos and townhouses. I don't buy them. Now, can you sell them? Absolutely. Can you rent them? They're kind of good rentals, but then you also have HOAs, and they'll grind you down. If you're renters, you don't have the power to know. Everybody comes across like a good renter when you first meet them, right? Les, you know this. But when they get into the house and now they're leaving their car where it's not supposed to, leaving garbage on the back balcony and so on. Now the HOA is calling you, you're the bad guy, or your management company's not taking care of it. A lot of times when you first start, you're managing your own rental properties, which you guys know, and so on. When that happens, let me tell you guys something. That's a stress that you don't need, because there's so much other stresses that you're going to run into in this business. So why do I not buy them? Number one, there's a plethora of them out here, and now you're in a big competition. Unless you get them at an auction or you do a short sale. Me and Manny bought one in Donaldson, and we got it was a 0 lot line house. It was a 3-2, at least it was a 3-2 bedroom, and we ended up selling it and did very well. But we also stole it because of the knowledge that we had and the grinding to get that deal. So that's why I would stay away. I would stay away from that. Also, too, and this is one that one of my students just bought, and somehow, I told him not to do it, but he still did it. And now he's stuck with the house in Antioch, is highway noise. This house is literally like the backyard. It's far enough away, but there's so much noise from that highway. And highway traffic noise, I mean, it travels. Here's why. Because the number one thing that will bring you back the most value in a house is not the kitchens. Everybody used to think kitchens and bathrooms sell houses. I agree. They do sell houses, but the number one thing that gets you 100% your money back is a patio. I promise you, especially here, because we do have usually good climate. People can use them, even though it rains a lot here, but we do have nice climate. There's some days even in the winter that I'll go out and do a little bit of barbecue. Manny's a chef. We always get
6-star.
He's a 6-star chef, right, man? But he lost a couple of stars, but he's 6. He was 6 at one time, I promise. But that's something that you'll always get your money back on a patio. So if you have all these noises and things and interference and all that, guess what? You're out of luck. So that's 9 right there, right? Also, too, I'm going to share a story with you. Steve knows it well. I still buy basement houses, but I'm going to tell you a little story, and it's very important that you hear me out. Years ago, one of my students bought a house under one of my LLCs because he was going to buy it in his own name. And I said, look, you got to protect yourself. You don't buy a house in your own name and so on and so forth. And I told him he could use one of my LLCs. I have a couple of them, and, you know, a lot of investors have a lot of LLCs, and I can't get into everything, man. I only got an hour and a half. Stay with me. But we ended up doing it, and I helped him out flipping it because, you know, it was a pretty bad house, and it had a lot of, you know, water issues, and it sat in a like a gully, and all the water when it would rain. And again, we get a lot of water, and, you know, you have to do French drain systems. And for those of you guys who don't understand what a French drain system, you literally have to dig past the foundation and do waterproofing and do perforated tubing and rocks and all of that. And I could go on and on about the construction part of it, but he did a good job. And he did a great job on the house, and I consulted with him, and I helped him, and so on and so forth. Well, he sold that house to a family. That family lived in that house. They outgrew it. The wife they had a kid. They had another kid, and they outgrew the house, and so they wanted a bigger house. And so they sold the house to another couple. Well, in May of 2010, no water got in there. But in 2013, August 8th, 2013, we had 7.8 inches of rain fall up in the Goodlettsville area. And let me tell you, they took on water. But what you didn't know is everybody on that whole street took on water. This house took on 1.5 inches of water because he did a lot of the things correctly. The other houses had 4 to 5 feet of water in their basement because on the street, all the houses had that gully, and they sat down. So they sat down in that gully, and all that water was going towards the basement. So it ended up where they tried to sue him. He didn't even live here anymore. Of course, they saw me on the LLC, started Googling this guy, started seeing that I had money, and they attacked my brand. And what I had to do was I had to approach these people, and I actually bought back the house at retail because I did the right thing. Because first of all, I knew that family, they weren't making the money I was. They were just a good American, hardworking family, and so I had to do the right thing. My student, you know, he was long gone. He didn't care about me. He wanted me to get chopped off at the knees. And guess what? It was happening until I stopped the bleeding and helped that family. Not only did I buy that house back, but I ended up finding them a new house, and I remodeled that house for them out of my own pocket for free. Did everything. The whole total loss that my company and myself took was over $72,000 net. Okay. Plus, there's a lot more to the story, and I could go on. But I will tell you this. I don't buy houses with the basements as much as I used to. I mean, there's a lot of things to look for, you know, when you have basements. Now, here in Nashville, we have a lot of houses, and they're good buys. But when they sit in a gully like that, really, really pay attention to that when you're looking at those. And you know what? You might want to say no. If you have experience now, obviously I have a lot of experience with this. I can do it. But when you're first starting out, and you know, there's a lot of people here that's just starting out. You might have done 10 deals. Remember, after 297 deals, I still learn every day, and I make mistakes every day. And trust me, I don't like being the smartest guy in the room. I try to get into a room with a lot more smarter people than me. So I'm sharing this with you not to scare you because, you know, listen, you guys can make it. It doesn't matter, you know, like look at how I grew up, you know. I mean, look what they said about this old guy. But I'll tell you right now, be careful with the basement houses. And the reason why I shared that story with you is we talked about branding and leading with your heart and having the heart of a teacher and having a heart in the business. Let me tell you something. It cost me and my company a lot of money, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And that family today, let me tell you, they're really close to me. And they even hired us to do their office. They started a business, and I inspired them to start a business, and I helped them and so on. I mean, it's about relationships, man. It's about touching people. It's about doing the right thing, man, when nobody's looking. Getting up early, knowing what you're going to do the day before that day comes. You know, I know a lot of people that say, Paulie, I want to learn. I want to be like you, or, you know, not everybody has my personality to go knock on the door and try to buy somebody's house. But I'll tell you, it's the heart. It's the heart that makes this business special. That's what makes us special here. Because we don't have to look at each other as competition. We look at each other as allies. Do deals. You know, Wes called me the other day to go look at a house and said, hey, I don't do the construction side of it. I was there, man. I went there, and his wife is a good designer, and she has great ideas. You got to admit, this kid's pretty good at design.
He's pretty good.
You got to admit, I'm what they call metrosexual. You know, I put gel in my hair, and I match my clothes and stuff like that.
Very good idea. We went and checked out a house also that Paulie had done in Brentwood.
Yes.
For the short sale. So we went and checked it out, and it was phenomenal. He did a fantastic job in there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Chatfield, 102 Chatfield, yeah. Well, we bought that house for $184,000. We put 70-something thousand, almost 80,000, and we sold it for 500,000. So do the numbers. We did very good. And honestly, the only reason why we got that is because of Manny. Because Manny is a grinder. And he's a guy that, he's behind the scenes. No one ever sees him. You know, he doesn't get he did this design and that design. Your house is beautiful. Paulie, you did such a great job. Let me tell you something. It's the relationship. The way I met Manny several years ago, 6 years now we've been doing, is he brought a house to me, and I bought it for a lot higher than he bought it for, and he was worried that when I find out what he bought it for, that I would look like at him as like he ripped me off or something. And I hugged him when he told me what he got it for. I said, dude, I'm so happy for you. Because, man, you're going to make money. And he goes, man, but you're such a good guy. Your heart's such a giving guy, man. Everybody I meet that meets you, you're a good person. And he goes, I kind of feel bad. I want to give you a better deal. And I said, no, those are my numbers. And I'm like, I don't want a better deal. Well, guess what? Because my heart was that way, today, me and him's made millions of dollars together. And you know what? It's not by luck, man. Success is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice, man. I made a choice in my life when everybody told me I wasn't going to make it. You know? Trust me, man. People are not... We were talking earlier, Crystal and I. People are not always going to be happy for us as entrepreneurs and house investors. They're not. When you buy... And I'm still like a kid. You know what? Me and my wife, we're like kids. My wife grew up in Erin, Tennessee. She's a little Southern belle. She's beautiful, and I love her to death. But let me tell you something. When we get something new and that, don't let your passion and your heart change when you make a lot of money. I still help people. We feed families all the time. We don't post it on Facebook because we don't want, that be fake. And I'm not a fake guy. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not fake. I'll tell you, my heart leads all the time. But when me and my wife succeed and we win and I win on something, it's amazing. Like she gets so excited. Like we're like kids, man. That's what we have. That's what makes us different. We're still excited, man. When me and him, we have ping pong tournaments, and he always cheats to beat me. But no, he doesn't. He's just so much better. I'm like, you know what? Let the old guy win. But we still wrestle like kids, and we have fun. Have fun with this stuff. This is something that most people think they could do, might do, but guess what? I told a lot of people I was going to speak today, and everybody had excuses that didn't show up. Think about it. They had excuses. They had a chance to learn from someone that's really a giver. I'm not getting paid for this, and I'm not selling anything, but I'm selling you guys the fact that we can do something different. You know, I've been doing this now. I'm going into my 9th year, okay? And, you know, I owned a business prior to this. I was a builder in Las Vegas. You know, I used to build custom homes and all of that. But I was very a limited custom home builder because I was like very design oriented and it had to be perfect and I was overanalyzing and everything else, okay? But just let it happen, man. Be a kid. Honestly, don't change who you are. I am the brand. I'm excited. Anybody who sees my videos or gets to meet me, I'm excited every day. And I'm pumping people up and giving them nuggets of gold in this business. And trying to help them because I do care. You know? And, you know, like, I get to do this business with my best friends, man. I get to do business with great, like-minded people like all of us. And this is not just talk. I'm not just talking here. I don't have to say this. You guys already like me. I don't have to get you to like me. You know? I'm a likable guy, Mark. But, so, put that into your memory banks. Work together. And then let's move on to what is the best house to buy. Because now I gave you all the negative. And what the best house to buy, and trust me, I track my numbers. I know what the toilet paper in our office cost, okay? So I used to be weak at my numbers and all that. Guess what? Like I said earlier, I got to my weaknesses and I made them my strengths. So the best house to buy is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, at least 2-bath, 2.5 usually when it's a 4-bedroom and a 2-car garage. When you're talking about a single family home, that is the best house to buy, believe it or not. Why? Because everybody now has a computer and they want that extra room for the computer, believe it or not. And these are things that you don't really put in your repertoire of knowing things, but when you track your numbers and you understand what you are buying when you're buying it, trust me, that is the best one. The second best is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and no garage. A lot of houses here in Nashville, it was weird because when I came out here, and I was living in Vegas and California when I was a fighter and then got into doing business, they don't have a lot of things that we have here in Nashville. Obviously, you know, here there's a lot of houses with no car, garage, 2-car or 1-car, or even a carport. So 4-bedroom, 2-bath is the second best. And then, of course, everybody heard the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. That one's the one. Also, too, remember to stay neutral. Don't get, you know, I watch a lot of people do their flips and all that. They get too emotionally invested, and they get over the top. They start using colors that are not neutral, and they want to try to be different. I believe in being unique. Having a unique selling proposition is very important. Whether you're a real estate agent, a contractor, a rehabber, a wholesaler, you have to be unique. And we're very unique. We do a lot of unique things in our houses. We don't want them to be cookie cutter. We get very design oriented, but we don't go over the top with our specific. You don't want to be too specific with your houses. Trust me, I walk into some of these kitchens and they have like funny red accent walls and it just doesn't match. Stay very neutral. Don't get too emotionally attached to that. What makes us unique is I meet every single buyer that buys my house after the deal is done. Not before, because, as realtors, you guys know, you don't want to put the buyer and seller. Because I'm such a good, when the buyer meets me, they're like, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, we'll do that. And then I end up doing everything for the house because this is too good. How many times have you seen that? So that's what makes us unique. Most house rehabbers I ever met or talked to are investors. They don't want to meet. They move on. They get their money and move on, right? What that does is it allows you to build a relationship with them and be forthcoming and tell them, look, I've never lived in this house. My guys are human. Things think you might find something. I don't know. We didn't live here, but here's my card. I want you to know that I really appreciate you guys doing business with me. And if there's anything wrong, we will come back. We'll fix it. I want to build a relationship with you guys. How many people in the 297 deals I've done? Okay, this is how you run a business. I told you earlier, I could teach anybody, this kid, to flip a house. How do you grow it? This is the things I do to grow my business. I meet them and I let them see that we cared about them. And you'd be surprised how many businesses I started from now I have a roofing business, a remodeling business. We own 2,000 beehives because money spawns money. We were talking earlier. When you have money, you can have multiple streams of income. But our base is where we started, and we stick to our base, and our brand is so important. But when you meet these people, they see that you care. And it's amazing, some of the best realtors that I know and I've had the grace of meeting are the ones that put the client first, man. When you do business and you do this business, it's not just about the money. You got to think about the client. You got to fix everything. You got to buy the right house because somebody is buying that house and they're going to enjoy it with their family. So it has to be safe and done well, and they have to see that you're different. Unique selling proposition. How many people answer their phone every time it rings? You'd be surprised in business how many people just don't even do the basics. Answer the phone, be good, put the client first, love on people, lead with their heart, give. It'll come back. I promise you. It'll come back. Yes, are there takers out there? Guess what? There's always a taker. But you know what, man? This business is a relationship business, and it'll come back to you. And trust me, the reason for my success is not just because I'm a grinder and I have all this passion and energy and all this stuff. It's because we lead with the hearts and put them first. Trust me, how many people a small business like us would lose over $72,000 buying back a house that wasn't really even his. Even though on the LLC was bought through that LLC. Not too many people. The insurance company would not give him the money. Nobody gave him the money except for this bad guy right here. And remember, when you're an entrepreneur, man, people will attack you as the bad guy. They don't even know you. They'll say things you said that you didn't say. It's amazing. You could be a great realtor, and if you go to list somebody's house, and that person wants $350,000 for the house, and you're like saying, well, you know what? It's only worth $299,990. I can't sell. Listen, I'm a good sales guy, but I can't sell your house for $350,000. But they're like, no, I want you to list our house. Okay, well, I list the house. Now he doesn't sell or she doesn't sell the house. Now the homeowner will blame it on that realtor. It's not the realtor's fault. It's your fault for not listing it correctly. The number one reason why a house doesn't sell is because you didn't list it at a correct price. And let me tell you, in 21 days, if you haven't got an offer on your house, and I was telling this to Luciana, I said, you got to drop the price, but not by 1,000, by 10,000. You got to make it so drastic that you bring the traffic to that house. I don't care if you line the house up with all the nicest things, and you spent, and you went to all these great lengths to make this house perfect. If it's priced too high, it's not going to sell. And don't blame your realtors. Trust me, they work hard for their money. They're not all the same. They're not all equal. Some are better than others. But make it easy for them too. And if you don't buy the house correctly, don't blame them. You go over your numbers and your budget, do not blame them. It's not their fault. It's your fault. Remember, you're the guy who makes the decisions. You're the guy who needs to be with a company, whether it's green or anybody, mentorship, and so on and so forth. Because let me tell you, when I was winging it, and the numbers and going over budget and not knowing my budget, let me tell you something. I didn't blame the realtors. I started looking at myself. Look at yourself if you're doing the right thing. Remember, the reason why most people are not successful is because they're not willing to do the things that people that are successful do. Trust me. You know, and there's a lot of days I don't want to get out of bed. I promise you that. When I was training and I was running, I was in the middle of the blizzard in Montreal, Canada, and I was waking up and it was dark out, there was snow, and it was horrible, and sleet and ice, and I had to get up every morning and I had to run, and I hated every second of it, I promise you. But I did it because I knew the guy that I was fighting was doing it too. And he was thinking about this guy saying how he was going to beat me. And I didn't want to go to the gym. And a lot of us don't want to do the things that it takes to become successful. And let me tell you something. It's not easy being successful. People don't see. This is what they see. Nice cars, big houses, house on the lake. It must be nice being Paul Kazanofski. Let me tell you something. They don't know the times that I lost money, the times that I trusted in people and gave my heart and soul, and they stabbed me in the back, or they talked bad about me not even knowing me, or so on and so forth. Realtors, you give so much to your client, and then you don't, and they're so unloyal, and they just jump ship, and they go buy a house with somebody else, and you spend 6 months with them. It's loyalty. It's the things that most people don't want to do to make it. We got young kids in here. Listen to my words, guys, because I love you kids. I do. I got kids of my own. Listen to your parents. They're the ones who's going to guide you, not your friends. When you get older, your friends, nobody cares. Unless you're in the room with like-minded people, like we are here today. Listen, we're on a Wednesday night. Again, I'll say, you're listening to a guy who talks with his hands and, but let me tell you something. Showing up is half the battle. Understanding your weaknesses, making them your strengths. Going out there and building the relationships. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable speaking in front of people you don't know. It's uncomfortable knocking on a door. It's uncomfortable doing things that make you successful. It's uncomfortable. It hurts when you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and run for 7 miles because the guy that you're fighting, in the upcoming month is doing the same thing, thinking about hurting you. It's uncomfortable. That's where the growth happens. And you've heard other people, and you're not hearing something that no one's ever said before. But I'm going to tell you that I didn't have a mom and dad to bring me to where I became where I am today. I had to bleed to get to where I am today. And some of you guys probably have the same kind of background as me. But guess what? You could make it. You could become a multimillionaire. And let me tell you something. When you do, you won. I had a guy, I was speaking in Maryland 2 weeks ago, I think I was, and this guy asked me, he was a history teacher, and he asked me, he goes, you know what, Paulie, and sometimes I open up the forum at the end of my speaking, and he said, hey man, I appreciate you coming here. He goes, you're awesome, and I could feel you, but he goes, I can't get my wife on board. And I said, do you get up early? And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, does she see you working hard? Does she see you working on Saturdays for this? Because you want this bad, don't you? Yes, I want it bad, man. I want it bad. I said, your wife, once you win, she will get on board. She'll be your ally. She might help you with design or help you pick stuff or help you be a better entrepreneur. Get them on board. Be evenly yoked. But if you're waking up late, you're not working on Saturday and on Sunday. These two guys right here, we're going to do some business together. And these guys work 7 days a week. Hence why they are going to become successful beyond their dreams. Is because, you know what? They're willing to do the things that most people are not willing to do. So I told the history teacher, I'm like, listen, man. I said, look, I understand, but I'm going to tell you a story about this little girl that comes from Erin, Tennessee, my wife. And I took her out to Morton's the first time I won. The same one me and you went to not too long ago, Steve. And she cried. She cried. And it touched me. Because I watched my wife. I won, man. I won. Because I was able to make her happy. Do you understand what power you have? Being an entrepreneur, being a real estate investor. I won. And you know, and like the first time I bought her some nice things that she probably thought she could never have. You know, that was winning. And you know what? My wife is on board, man. She supports me. She loves on me. She's my biggest fan. That's how you get people to support you. Your friends that doubt you right now, when they see you grinding and they see you working and getting mentorship and hanging out with like-minded people, they'll get on board too. And a lot of them will ask you, hey, what are you doing? When they first started doubting you, they will come to you and they'll start asking you, hey, how did you do it? How'd you do it, man? Hey, how'd you buy that car? I'm a cash buyer with everything. I'm old school, you know, Yugoslavian and Italian mix. They don't buy things on credit. I pay cash for things. My rental properties, I own cash. I'm a cash kind of guy. Okay? Old school thinking. There was no way I would have been able to do that journey if I didn't work hard, you know. So anyway, like I said, my time is limited here. I usually do like a workshop, like a weekend workshop. And I mean, I get nitty gritty on colors, on how to deal with contractors, how to raise money and so on and so forth. But again, you know, like today is just dropping a little bit of nuggets. I hope something I said touched you guys. One thing. If you get one thing, you know, and everybody takes the information differently. If you get one thing, you learn what to buy, what not to buy, you know, network, understand that we're all family here. And that's what green, you know, it's funny because when Steve approached me and we started talking about green, and I'll end with this, when I heard what he was doing and the price and the people that were involved and how they had the same heart as me, I was like, I'll help you guys. I want in. Meanwhile, I had so many of these big, big outfits and, you know, all these people you might have seen on TV and so on and so forth. And they tried to hire me as a coach, and they saw that I did a lot of deals, and they got to meet me, and they brought me in and so on. And they told me, you know what, you can't give away information. You have to string them along. And so on. I said, man, I can't do it. I was raised different. I grew up poor. I'm not going to take people's money. And then when me and Steve and Mark talked, and Andrea talked in Florida, and I saw what they were doing, I said, this is where I want to be. And I don't care about the money. I already have that. I do deals. I do real estate. Investing. That's how I make my money. I have other businesses that are congruent with what I started. So that's why I'm here today, and I hope you guys got something out of it. You know, and like I say, I start off slow and then I kind of end good, you know. But I always leave it open. I'll take 2 or 3 questions because, you know, it's a weekday and all that. But if anybody has any questions to ask me, they're doing a deal, something happened, I'm right here. Fire away, and it could be about anything.
Well, let's do them after. Let's do them questions after the meeting.
All right. But anyway, Mark.
All Kazanofski.
The old guy. This is one of my money lenders right here. And she's always kind to come here. And the way we met was Linsky was a dancer. She's a ballroom dancer, and they were taking ballroom. And Lynn told her about me. We built a relationship, and you know we've done a lot of deals. But think about people ask me how to raise money. Lead with your heart. Lead with your heart. Yeah.
Now let me tell you a little bit more about Paul. If he didn't tell you everything already. By the way, reading Paul, we said 15 minutes, not an hour and 50 minutes.
Did anybody leave? I did 2.5 hours on a Thursday night in Maryland, not one person left. You move in closer.
I'm trying to give you the hook.
He was cooked.
You talked about that book. Now, they just read, I was at his house, as a matter of fact, I was at Manny's house the other day. You can recognize this house because it has all the Porsches out in front.
Yeah.
And the Maserati, and the one wrecked Porsche, but I don't know how much that was. So they read a book on a bee lady. Didn't they go right to the author of the book invite her, fly her in. We met her last week at Manny's house. He cooked fabulous food.
Thanks, buddy.
And they go right to the source. Now, of course, Steve and I are so grateful that you went right to the source on this company too. So thank you very much for that, Steve. We had some properties from Florida that we wanted to show, but Mike Houston down there, we're going to have to put it the next week, Mike. We went a little over, but it was very entertaining and informative. We always say that, entertaining and informative. That's what we like to give. So, Mike, if anybody wants to know about some properties in Florida, I'll be happy to give you Mike Houston's phone number. But we'll do it again next week, or we'll pop it up on our website and Facebook and such. Right now, to finish up, I'd like to invite my partner Steve up, and he'll just give you a little talk about what green actually is.
I have to give you a mic drop when you leave.
You notice I don't even use a following you. I talk so loud, man. People always say, "Why is he so mad?" I'm never mad. I just talk like
I
this.
am quintessentially boring compared to Paul. And my mother was an English teacher, and guys I work with don't frustrate me sometimes because I do get a little bit, but Paul is a fabulous teacher, and I can say that he certainly has a passion for real estate, and it is that passion combined with a drive that is the ultimate contributor and driver of success. It's not necessarily your intelligence, it's not necessarily your experience, it's how bad you want it. He's willing to get uncomfortable. He is very intelligent, and he's probably one of the less than this many people that I know, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but we can look at a property anywhere in Middle Tennessee and pretty much we'll come up with the same number on it. And they're all, unless it's probably another guy like that, one of the few people that have the experience to do that. 3 of them are in this room, and I don't know anywhere else. The people that could, if you ever had a deal, could look at your deal and tell you if it's a deal. 3 of the ones that I know that are best at it are right here in this room. A quick thing on green. Paul alluded to this. He's one of the guys that saw the vision of what we're doing. This meeting is always free. Our business is a network marketing business. We have an online learning management system that we're building. And as I mentioned before, we're going to have, within a couple of weeks, we're going to have 4 mastermind sessions going every week. Paul is going to be leading one of those sessions. This is a guy that normally charges thousands of dollars, but because Green is built on a platform where he can make a lot of money reaching a bunch of different people across the country, we charge $99.97 a month, and there are people that are actually getting paid now, and that's the whole point. We want to build a business that you can actually get paid to learn about real estate. So instead of going out and risking all of your money buying the house, you can build a check that comes in every month and then go buy the house. And also work with professionals who are vetted by a group, who know the market, come in and make relationships. I think Paul very well alluded to some of that, and he really understood the vision. And he has a lot of the same experience that we have in real estate, a lot of the same background of having to deal with education and people who take too much money, and that's why you won't do it. So, and what we're really trying to do here is create more of that mentor-based relationship. So now we are invested in your success. This isn't your typical real estate investor group that just wants you to walk away. When we bring you into a network marketing company, we want you to succeed, because if you succeed, we succeed. You're going to bring your friends. We all grow together, and that's what it's all about. So, this meeting, we normally keep to about an hour on the talk. We're a little bit over today, but I don't mind. Paul can talk as long as he wants. Thank you. Always welcome. The mic's always on for you before you drop it. And then we keep this place open till late. We'll stay an extra 15 minutes. We'll stay open. Actually, we'll stay till 8:30 if you guys want to hang around and chat, ask Paul some questions. If any of you want to sign up or have any questions about green specifically, just come and ask me. Or any of you that are in green, you have questions, we're going to be doing some agent mentoring this week. And we got some new faces. Since the crowd, we didn't go around and introduce everyone, but some new faces this week. I just mingle a little bit, and any questions. Paul, thanks for coming. Hopefully we can make this a once every month or two kind of thing.
I'm always here.
Or maybe we'll have a meeting starting in Goodlettsville. We will, in relatively short order, we'll be starting in Franklin and Murfreesboro also. So. All right, guys, thank you very much. We appreciate it.